Tonight's election coverage has been filled with suspense as we watch the unfolding drama in the swing states that will determine the next president. One of the most critical states we've been monitoring is Georgia. After a prolonged battle, Georgia has officially been projected as a win for Donald Trump. This is a major victory for his campaign and marks the second swing state projected in his favor after North Carolina. Georgia's 16 electoral votes are a vital addition to Trump's tally, bringing him closer to the goal of 270 votes needed to secure the presidency. Trump now holds 246 electoral votes, only 24 short of the number required to claim victory. With this win, he edges ever closer to re-entering the White House and sitting behind the resolute desk once again. On the other side, Kamala Harris remains at 182 electoral votes, facing a steep climb. With 5 key swing states still outstanding, the race is far from over. However, Trump's wins in North Carolina and Georgia have made his path more straightforward, putting Harris in a more challenging position as we advance into the night. These two states have consistently been contentious, and both candidates poured resources into rallying support there. The stakes in Georgia alone were monumental, with each side campaigning hard to capture its critical votes. As of this moment, with North Carolina and Georgia added to Trump's tally, the dynamic of the race has shifted significantly. Trump's standing now puts him within striking distance of a win, and if he secures even a few more battleground states, he could reach or surpass the 270 vote threshold. This hour's developments make it increasingly difficult for Harris to catch up, as her route to victory becomes narrower and more challenging. The election polls over the last few months showed an exceptionally tight race, indicating a highly competitive contest. Now, with 2 swing states confirmed for Trump, 5 remain uncalled, but the night has been favorable for Trump's campaign so far. Each of these uncalled states is critical, as both campaigns have centered their strategies around winning in battleground regions. For the Harris team, these remaining states hold the only pathway to victory. If Harris hopes to secure the presidency, she will likely need to capture each one, particularly Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. In the previous election cycles, these states have often flipped between parties. For instance, Joe Biden won many of these states 4 years ago after Trump's initial victory there in 2016. The close margins reflect the political and ideological divides within these regions, making them highly unpredictable in terms of election outcomes. Georgia's shift tonight marks a return to Republican control, a change from its results in 2020. Turning to the Harris campaign, they have centered their strategy around what they call the Blue Wall, a coalition of traditionally Democratic states that they hope will secure their path to the White House. This Blue Wall includes states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. From the outset, the Harris campaign knew this race would be close and that their best shot lay in rebuilding this coalition. Now, with Georgia and North Carolina lost, these Blue Wall states are more essential than ever. Harris must secure victories in each of these regions to maintain a viable route to 270 electoral votes. Current numbers in the Blue Wall states show tight margins, adding to the suspense. Vote counts are progressing slowly, with counties still tallying results in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. The race in these states could go either way at this point. The Harris campaign needs substantial support from urban centers and blue-leaning counties in these areas to counter Trump's performance in rural and suburban regions. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, there is cautious optimism. The Trump campaign remains confident in its ability to capture other swing states. Trump's victory in Georgia tonight suggests that his lead in these areas may be more solid than initial projections anticipated. This trend could carry into other key battlegrounds, potentially cementing his position even further. The shift in Georgia's voting margins is notable. In the 2020 election, the difference was a razor-thin 11,000 votes. Now, preliminary counts show Trump with a lead of over 100,000 votes in the state. If these trends hold in other states, it would provide a substantial cushion for the Trump campaign. In terms of congressional impact, this election cycle also brings changes to both the House and Senate. House races across the country are seeing Republican gains, and we've witnessed intense contests in districts such as Pennsylvania's, where seats once considered solidly Democratic are now facing stiff challenges. This shift could signify a broader political realignment, with the Republicans gaining ground in areas that Democrats held in the previous election cycle. In the Senate, the outlook is similarly favorable for Republicans. If Trump manages to sweep the remaining contested states, the Republican majority in the Senate could expand to 54 or 55 seats. This would give Republicans a substantial advantage and potentially ease legislative gridlock in Washington. Back in Georgia, the vote counting process proceeded swiftly, with most counties reporting results earlier than expected. This accelerated timeline may indicate that the margin was more decisive than initially anticipated. As we now know, Georgia's electoral votes are securely in Trump's column, marking a pivotal moment in the evening and shifting momentum in his favor. As we continue to monitor the remaining swing states, one thing is clear. The final count will likely come down to the last few states. The attention now shifts to key blue counties, particularly in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, where Harris needs strong support. These counties are Harris's last hope for substantial gains in electoral votes. Without decisive victories here, her path to the White House narrows considerably. Tonight, voters at Harris headquarters at Howard University, many of whom were eager to hear from their candidate, are now preparing for an uncertain wait. The energy has shifted from hopeful anticipation to a more reserved, uncertain atmosphere. Although Harris won't address her supporters tonight, her campaign has announced she will speak tomorrow, perhaps offering more insight into their strategy moving forward. In summary, the election is tightening, with Trump gaining crucial ground in swing states like Georgia and North Carolina. The Harris campaign remains focused on the blue wall states, knowing that each one is critical for any chance of victory. As the night progresses and vote counts continue, the outcome remains unpredictable. Each remaining state's final results will be pivotal in determining the next president, adding to the suspense of this tightly contested election.